North Carolina has survived wars, hurricanes, and industries collapsing overnight. Cities changed, towns disappeared, and yet some places refused to vanish. Yates Mill, built before the Revolution, still turns water into power while the world around it modernised. Triple Falls continues its three-tiered descent, carving the same path it has for centuries. And high in the Smokies, the abandoned ghost town village still clings to the mountain, rides and saloons left behind but never erased. Join me as we uncover North Carolina's most extraordinary wonders, where rare discoveries and forgotten mysteries might change the way you see this state forever. Whitewater Falls drops 411 feet down granite cliffs in the Blue Ridge Mountains, making it the tallest waterfall east of the Rocky Mountains. These falls formed over millions of years as the Whitewater River slowly cut through granite bedrock more than 1 billion years old. However, geologists are still unsure why some of the erosion looks strange. The pattern suggests that long ago, catastrophic floods may have rushed through this area. Local Cherokee stories speak of the crying woman of the falls, a spirit who allegedly appears during full moons near the base of the cascade. To get proof, researchers placed motion-activated cameras and allegedly caught unexplained shadows moving behind the waterfall where no paths exist. The constant mist not only creates a mysterious atmosphere, but also creates perfect conditions for the dragonflies to dart and glide in the cool shadows. These aerial hunters patrol specific territories along the mist zone, where humidity keeps their wings flexible. Their forewings operate independently, allowing them to hover motionless in updrafts while scanning for prey, then instantly accelerate to 35 miles per hour when attacking. Dragonflies have incredible visual skills. Their compound eyes contain 30,000 individual lenses, detecting movement across nearly 360 degrees. Birds pose the greatest threat, particularly during vulnerable, molting periods when dragonflies cannot fly. Moreover, climate fluctuations affect emergence timing, sometimes creating mismatches between adult emergence and food availability. Henry River Mill Village is one of the most mysteriously preserved ghost towns in the southeast, where the past refuses to stay buried. Because of the steep terrain, the area was deemed worthless for farming, so the founder families made it perfect for their darker purpose, creating a completely controlled workforce. This way, they constructed a 3-storey brick mill building alongside 35 worker houses, trapping 450 employees in a system where they were paid in Dougaloo coins that could only be spent at the company store. Lightning had struck the village multiple times throughout its history, with the company store surviving at least 2 direct hits, leading some to wonder if nature itself was trying to cleanse the place. In 2011, filmmakers discovered this ghost town and transformed it into District 12 for the Hunger Games, finding the atmosphere of oppression and despair perfectly matched their vision. Yet even Hollywood's darkest imaginations, pale compared to the terrors that Cherokee legends claim, still prowl the granite cliffs of Whiteside Mountain. One story speaks of Spearfinger, a shapeshifter with skin of stone and a sharp finger like a spear. She could strike hearts without leaving a trace, and was feared for taking the livers of children from her home. Rising 750 feet, these sheer cliffs create the tallest precipice in the eastern region of the United States. Within the dense woodlands, you might hear sudden wing beats or drumming calls. These belong to the ruffed grouse, which uses its mottled plumage to hide from sight against the forest floor. When snow covers the area, they grow feathers on their feet that work like snowshoes, letting them walk on top of the snow while other animals sink below. While the ruffed grouse loves discretion, the turkey vultures have no problem showing off on these lands. The main reason is that they have no natural predators. Their strong immune systems let them eat diseased carrion without getting sick, and with their odd defense behavior of vomiting on threats, they almost seem invincible. Turkey vultures possess one of nature's most extraordinary abilities. They can smell death from miles away through their exceptional sense of smell, even when carcasses are hidden under thick forest cover. Wildlife biologist Paige Engelbrechtson describes them as the janitors of our ecosystems, cleaning up carrion that would otherwise spread disease throughout Whiteside Mountain's wilderness. The vultures are always in search of death from above, while an equally skilled predator hunts in the shadows below. Beneath moss-covered logs, the wolf spiders are the night's silent assassins. Their exceptional night vision comes from their 8 eyes arranged in 3 rows, with 2 massive front-facing eyes that gleam like emeralds when caught in flashlight beams. Wolf spiders have colonised almost every habitat on Earth, except Antarctica, with some species discovered living at elevations over 13,000 feet, in alpine conditions that would kill most other spiders. Hatteras Village is the southernmost community on Hatteras Island, named after the Hatteras tribe, a Native American group that inhabited the region before European settlers arrived. The village carries one of the oldest surviving English place names, originally recorded as Hattrask in 1585 and later adapted to Hatteras. Historically, Hatteras became notable during the Civil War, when it was the site of the Battle of Hatteras Inlet on August 28 to 29, 1861. Union forces attacked and captured 2 Confederate forts, marking an important early Union victory. The village's location near an active inlet shaped its development and economy through fishing and ship piloting. Hatteras is also tied to many shipwrecks off its coast, within the area known as the Graveyard of the Atlantic, where shifting sandbars, treacherous currents and storms caused over 2,000 shipwrecks. American alligators living in the Alligator River National Wildlife Refuge have adapted to the Pocosin wetlands, swamp forests and marshes that dominate this area. Alligators in this refuge regulate their body temperature by basking in the sun to warm up and moving to water or shade to cool down, as they are ectotherms relying on external heat sources. Their behaviour is generally secretive and solitary, with most activity happening in warmer months and at dawn or dusk when they are most active. Unlike many animals, alligators do not migrate but undergo a state called brumation during colder months, reducing activity significantly. What sets the American alligator in this refuge apart is its ability to thrive in a tough habitat of Pocassin wetlands and tolerate a range of salinity levels thanks to its salt-excreting glands. These predators hunt by staying motionless in the water, waiting to ambush prey with sudden speed and powerful jaws. Their diet includes fish, birds, mammals, and occasionally carrion. This area remains one of the last strongholds of the critically endangered red wolf, known as Canis rufus. Their lifespan is typically 7 to 10 years in the wild, though individuals can live longer in captivity. Today, it is considered one of the world's rarest canids, surviving only in northeastern North Carolina. Its near disappearance came from decades of hunting, habitat loss, and coyote interbreeding. Chimney Rock is a 535 million-year-old granite monolith formation in the Blue Ridge Mountains. The distinctive chimney shape is the result of continuous erosion, carving away softer surrounding materials while leaving the resistant granite core intact. The elevator system, completed in 1949, required 8 tons of dynamite to blast a 258-foot shaft and 198-foot tunnel through solid rock, making it the first elevator built inside a mountain. Also, the original tourist stairway to reach the summit was built in 1885, making Chimney Rock one of the earliest developed tourist attractions in western North Carolina. In 1811, multiple witnesses observed 2 opposing armies, riding tiny winged horses, engaged in aerial combat above the rock for several evenings. The final battle reportedly lasted 10 minutes, with sounds of clashing metal and groans of the wounded echoing through the gorge. Today, real aerial warriors patrol these same skies above Chimney Rock. The peregrine falcon is flying in its kingdom, slicing through mountain air at over 200 miles per hour. Their tears are as thick as maple syrup, a remarkable adaptation that protects their eyes from the crushing wind forces encountered during their supersonic hunting dives. On their daily diet are jays, pigeons, shorebirds, robins and ducks, with the gorge's vertical cliffs providing ideal hunting perches overlooking diverse prey corridors. After killing their prey, peregrine falcons use their exceptionally sharp beaks and talons to complete the feeding process, devouring smaller animals whole or tearing apart larger prey. The park maintains a stable population of 10 to 12 nesting pairs throughout North Carolina's mountains, with Chimney Rock being one of the few consistent breeding locations in the state. Their hunting area goes beyond the rock itself and includes the tall waterfall that made this place world famous, the Hickory Nut Falls. This waterfall ranks as the second tallest east of the Mississippi River. The location gained worldwide fame when it served as the dramatic backdrop for the climactic duel between Chingachgook and Magua in The Last of the Mohicans, with the final fight scene filmed at the very brink of the falls. Throughout springtime, the whole canopy and adjacent cliffs bloom, inviting the eastern tiger swallowtail to patrol among the blossoms gracefully. They are one of the most recognisable visitors to the falls during the warmer months. Their big, distinctive yellow wings, marked by 4 bold black tiger stripes, help them get a wingspan of 3 to 5.5 inches. When threatened, the caterpillars reveal their most terrifying defence trick. It puffs up orange and black spots on its body and lifts itself to look like a snake, with fake eyes so real that even skilled predators are fooled. Adults live only 12 days on average, making their dance in the mist of the falls is brief, a sight many people may witness only once in their lifetime. However, these butterflies are not the only creatures with brilliantly coloured coats. The male scarlet tanager is flashing its shocking crimson plumage, like living flames against the dark green background. Females, on the other hand, were so overlooked during the species naming that they received no recognition, despite their own striking olive-yellow plumage that provides perfect camouflage among the sun-dappled leaves. The birds possess an uncanny ability to remain motionless for minutes at a time while hunting, becoming living statues. They require large, uninterrupted forests to successfully breed, making the 996-acre Chimney Rock State Park one of their last safe remaining places in the quickly developing Blue Ridge Mountains. Great Falls Mill stands as one of the oldest industrial sites, beginning operations as Richmond Manufacturing Company in 1839 on Falling Creek in Rockingham. The mill received its charter in December 1833, making it the 5th cotton mill chartered in the state. The facility took its name from the dramatic waterfalls of Falling Creek, which provided the water power for its operations. Union General William T. Sherman's troops burned the mill in March 1865 because it supplied fabric to the Confederacy. After closure, the building served as cotton storage through the 1960s. The mill burned again in 1972, leaving only ruins that remain today. As we move west from the Piedmont Mills, we reach the peaks of Pisgah National Forest. Pisgah National Forest takes its name from Mount Pisgah. Reverend James Hall gave the mountain its name in 1776 during General Griffith Rutherford's Cherokee expedition. He was referencing the biblical mountain where Moses viewed the Promised Land. The forest officially opened on October 17, 1916. It was the first national forest created from acquired eastern lands under the Weeks Act of 1911. Moving deeper into Pisgah National Forest, Linville Falls represents one of the most photographed natural features along the Blue Ridge Parkway. The Cherokee originally called this area ECO, meaning River of Many Cliffs. Explorer William Linville and his son John gave the falls their name through a tragic encounter in 1766, when Cherokee warriors attacked their hunting camp near the waterfall, and both men perished. Following this incident, the river, falls and surrounding gorge were named in memory of the fallen father and son. The falls can be reached from the Blue Ridge Parkway, where a visitor centre is open seasonally from May through October. Sliding Rock is a natural granite slide where cold mountain water runs year-round, carrying visitors down into a deep pool in Looking Glass Creek. Local Native American tribes used the natural slide for cooling off during summer heat, long before European settlement. The exact date of its discovery by indigenous peoples remains unknown, though the surrounding Appalachian Mountains rank among Earth's oldest geological formations. Looking Glass Rock represents an Inselberg, an isolated mountain that rises abruptly from surrounding terrain, composed of exposed Whiteside granite. Geologists classify it as a pluton, essentially a massive ball of granitic rock that cooled before reaching Earth's surface, preventing it from becoming a volcano. The rock earned its name from the way frozen rainwater on its surface reflects sunlight like a mirror during winter months. This reflective quality becomes particularly dramatic when ice forms on the granite face, creating a glass-like surface. Cherokee Nation considered the formation a sacred site, viewing the pure quartz composition as spiritually significant. Another interesting fact is that Steve Longenecker, Robert John Gillespie, and Bob Watts completed the first successful ascent on December 19, 1966, after 2 years of failed attempts on the north face. Moving from Pisgah National Forest to human-made history, Ghost Town Village stands on Buck Mountain in Maggie Valley, where old Western buildings have been left to decay. Businessman Robert Bradley Coburn built this Wild West theme park in 1960 after visiting real ghost towns in the American Southwest, hoping to recreate their atmosphere for Eastern tourists. Ghost Town attracted over 400,000 visitors annually during its golden years in the 1970s and 1980s, earning recognition as one of the most popular tourist destinations in Western regions. The Red Devil roller coaster, built for $2 million in 1988 on the mountainside, suffered constant breakdowns due to harsh weather exposure and inadequate maintenance. Today the park remains abandoned with crumbling Western storefronts, rusted rides, and broken animatronics scattered across the mountaintop. Vandalism has accelerated the decay since 2002, as inadequate security allowed trespassers to damage remaining structures. Police now cite anyone found on the property, yet urban explorers continue to climb the mountain to document the deteriorating attraction. DuPont State Recreational Forest was established as North Carolina's first recreational state forest. Cherokee petroglyphs can still be found on rock faces in hidden creek beds, marking hunting grounds that existed long before European settlement. In 1799, the Thomas family secured the first recorded deed, and Micajah Thomas later built the Buck Forest Hotel in the 1850s to serve mountain travellers. After the Civil War, the inn faded from existence as new roads bypassed the mountain, leaving only its deeds to prove it was ever there. Decades later, in 1956, the DuPont Corporation claimed the land and turned it into an explosive manufacturing facility, a place where industry replaced memory. Continuing through DuPont State Forest, Triple Falls stands out as the park's most photographed waterfall, dropping in 3 distinct tiers over a granite cliff and drawing over 1 million visitors each year. The falls gained international recognition when Hollywood chose the site for the Hunger Games, using the middle tier's cave-like alcove for key scenes with Katniss and Peter. The waterfall's granite foundation dates back over 1 billion years, making it among the oldest exposed rock surfaces in North America. Furthermore, the 3-tiered formation resulted from differential erosion rates in the granite's mineral composition, where softer sections wore away faster than harder quartzite veins. Triple Falls is popular for swimming, but dangerous currents and slick granite have caused drownings and injuries. Rangers warn against entering the water, yet enforcement is difficult in the remote, crowded site. Valle Crucis lies in the Watauga River Valley, where 3 creeks join to form the shape of a cross. In 1842, Episcopal Bishop Levi Silman Ives came here to establish a mountain mission. After seeing either the cross-shaped waters or a cross rising in the mist, he named the place Valle Crucis, Latin for Vale of the Cross. This place remains a small, rural, unincorporated community that serves as North Carolina's first designated rural historic district. The population stays minimal, consisting primarily of long-time families and seasonal residents who maintain the area's historical character. Human ambition transformed an entire valley into what locals now call the Inland Sea of North Carolina, or commonly known as Lake Norman. The lake's creation required the systematic drowning of an entire world. Engineers flooded over 32,000 acres of inhabited land, swallowing whole communities that had lived for generations along the river's banks. Seven family cemeteries were officially relocated during the lake's creation, but in some cases, only the headstones were moved, while the bodies remained permanently submerged in their watery graves. Hundreds of witnesses have reported encounters with Normie, a serpentine lake monster the size of a limousine with glowing eyes that allegedly prowls the lake's deepest sections. The The lake simultaneously generates hydroelectric power and cools the reactors at the nearby Maguire nuclear station, making it one of the hardest working bodies of water in the region. Patrolling the shoreline, we can see the cattle egret, representing one of nature's greatest expansion stories. Somehow crossed the Atlantic Ocean from Africa around 1930 and rapidly spread throughout the Western Hemisphere. The species first appeared in North Carolina in April 1956 in Bladen County, yet by the same year was already nesting, showing how easily it can adapt in new territories. They also love the surrounding agricultural areas around the lake, where they follow cattle and other livestock to catch insects disturbed by the animals' hooves. The global population of cattle egrets is estimated between 3.8 to 6.7 million individuals, yet their numbers have declined since the 1990s in North Carolina due to the loss of farmland and cattle pastures near breeding colonies. For the remaining ones, their range expanded so much that it occasionally leads them toward the shadows of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. These old mountains, called the Place of Blue Smoke by the Cherokee due to the perpetual fog around them, are now the most visited park in America, with over 12 million people exploring its 522,000 acres each year. An estimated 90,000 undocumented species may exist within the park's boundaries, beyond the 10,000 already known plants and animals. Among the documented ones is the American red squirrel, a fierce territorial guardian of the forest. These smaller, more aggressive cousins of the common grey squirrel are defending their year-round exclusive territories with an intensity that rivals much larger predators. Red squirrels employ the larder hoarding strategy, creating big piles called middens, which can hold thousands of pine cones and nuts. They spend their autumn months collecting and storing conifer cones, maple seeds, fungi and bird eggs in underground chambers and tree hollows. Also, they make sure to bury single nuts all around their home so they have extra food when times are hard. As great swimmers who will quickly swim across mountain streams and rivers to reach new territories on the opposite side, they are showing a lot of courage that is fueled by the skills they've learned. While red squirrels fiercely guard their mountain territories with territorial displays, Another kind of territorial dispute has haunted the mountains below for over 8 decades. The Road to Nowhere near Bryson City represents one of America's most infamous unfinished construction projects, where $4.1 million in taxpayer funds vanished into the wilderness between 1943 and 1971. The road terminates abruptly at a dark tunnel surrounded by tall weeds and rusted fences that locals consider cursed. A sign at the road's entrance reads, "Welcome to the Road to Nowhere. A broken promise." 1943 ? Reflecting the bitter disappointment that still persists for the Swain County residents over 8 decades later. While human promises remain forever broken in this area, nature has successfully delivered on a different kind of restoration nearby. The return of elk to the Great Smoky Mountains after disappearing from these peaks for over 2 centuries. Growing from just 52 individuals, reintroduced in 2001, to an estimated 240 animals as of 2022, more than quadruple the original population. Their social behaviours vary dramatically throughout the year, with females and calves forming tight-knit family groups called herds, while mature bulls remain largely solitary, except during breeding season. During summer months, elk herds can number 20 to 30 individuals as they graze together in the safety of open meadows. But when autumn arrives, the massive bulls establish harems of 10 to 15 cows while engaging in fierce competition with rival males through antler wrestling matches that can last for hours. But this is not one of the reasons they are not abundant across the entire region anymore. Unfortunately, wildlife managers believe the population will likely never exceed the several hundred range due to western North Carolina's thick forests, limiting the open meadow for them to survive. Burnett Branch runs through the centre of the heart of Emerald Village in Little Switzerland. This mountain stream was named after the Burnett family, who settled along its banks in the early 1800s. The original Crabtree Emerald mine shaft along Burnett Branch extends several hundred feet underground. Today, it is filled with water, hidden beneath a small, quiet pond that covers the flooded tunnels. The stream maintains a constant temperature year-round, allowing swallows to nest in the mine entrances where they swoop and glide like dancers above the dark waters during breeding season. The Whitaker family established their tobacco plantation during the 1740s on the land that would become the town of Whitakers. This action laid the foundation for one of eastern North Carolina's most prosperous railroad communities. When the railroad arrived in the 1850s, the quiet plantation community became a busy trade centre. During harvest season, freight trains carried more than 20 million pounds of tobacco leaves through Whitakers. Since 1960, the town's population has dropped to about half of what it once was. As the tobacco industry declined, it left behind empty shops, abandoned houses, and the remains of businesses that once thrived. The railroad tracks that once carried the Whitakers' tobacco wealth to distant markets trace their origins back through time to the mountain valleys of the Blue Ridge Mountains. These mountains saw the rise of Appalachian culture as Scottish-Irish immigrants built homes in the wilderness and created moonshine traditions, bluegrass music, and different crafts. Rising from the Blue Ridge Mountains is Mount Mitchell, the tallest peak east of the Mississippi River at 6,684 feet. It was named after Elisha Mitchell, the University of North Carolina professor who died tragically in 1857 while attempting to prove that this peak exceeded Mount Washington as the tallest mountain in the eastern region. Professor Mitchell's measurements in 1835 were remarkably accurate, calculating the mountain's height within just 12 feet of today's precise measurements using only barometric pressure readings and mathematical formulas. The 40-foot stone observation tower that once crowned Mount Mitchell's summit was destroyed in late 2006 and replaced with a new observation deck that opened in January, 3 years later. Between the Shenandoah National Park in Virginia and the Great Smoky Mountains National Park in North Carolina is America's favourite drive. The Blue Ridge Parkway, the longest linear park in the nation, took 52 years to complete. The roadway maintains a maximum speed limit of 45 miles per hour, deliberately designed to encourage contemplation rather than efficiency. After completion, it became one of the most visited units of the national park system. Guarding the North Carolina coast is Fort Macon State Park. This five-sided fortress has watched over Beaufort Inlet for nearly 2 centuries. The fortress features 26 vaulted rooms called casemates, enclosed by outer walls measuring 4.5 feet thick, designed to resist naval bombardment from any direction. Between 1826 and 1834, the US government spent $463,790 to build Fort Macon, making it one of the most costly coastal forts in North Carolina. But in 1924, the state bought the fortress for only $1 through a congressional act, making it one of the best real estate deals in American history. Lake Lure is an artificial lake, completed in 1927 when the Morse family built a dam to generate hydroelectric power. Its creation costs the drowning of an entire town called Buffalo, a gold rush settlement of around 150 residents. Also, this place served as the primary filming location for the 1987 movie Dirty Dancing, with multiple scenes shot on and around the lake. The cold, clear waters that replaced the mountain community now support a trout population. Both rainbow and brown trout are found here, feeding on the abundant aquatic insects and small fish, while the rocky streams keep the water clean enough for these sensitive fish to survive. The submerged buildings and underwater terrain from the former town now act as artificial reefs and hiding places, where large trout hide and strike at prey in the deep waters of Lake Lure. Above the water level, though, the osprey is scanning the crystal clear mountain water for the same trout that hides below. These fishhawks have established successful nesting sites along Lake's shoreline, using both natural dead trees and artificial nesting platforms to raise their young. Ospreys are the only raptors that dive fully underwater to hunt. They can hit the water at 50 miles per hour while submerging entirely and grab trout from as deep as 3 feet. This is possible due to their closable nostrils, equipped with special valves that instantly seal shut when they dive underwater, preventing them from drowning during this activity. North Carolina Wildlife Federation has installed over 7 dozen nesting platforms on 30-foot poles throughout the Catawba River system, providing safe spots protected from predators like black snakes and raccoons. While platforms help ospreys nest, Great blue herons prefer different sites and need their own conservation methods along the same waterways. These tall, wading birds build their nests in living trees, usually above water. They form large groups called heronries, with anywhere from 5 to 500 nests gathered in the treetops over lakes and rivers. Great blue herons can see 3 times better at night than humans because their eyes have many light-sensitive cells. This lets them hunt even in total darkness. These birds sometimes choke to death when they try to swallow prey that's too big, their eyes literally bigger than what they can actually eat. These birds spend approximately 90% of their waking hours stalking prey, employing hunting techniques that include standing motionless, swimming in deep water, diving headfirst, and even catching small birds in flight. The city of Asheville was named after Governor Samuel Ashe in 1797. But few visitors know that Ashe was actually a major slaveholder whose wealth and power came from slavery. Interestingly, it was originally founded as Morristown 3 years earlier by John Burton to honour Robert Morris, the financier of the American Revolution, before being renamed Asheville after the governor. Local tradition says Asheville was built on an ancient Native American burial ground and later became the site of violent clashes between the Catawba and Cherokee tribes. Asheville's elevation of 2,134 feet creates unique atmospheric conditions that locals believe contribute to the city's reputation as one of the most haunted places in the southeast. The city became known as the Paris of the South during the 1920s boom, when it constructed more Art Deco buildings per person than any other city in the nation, including the City Hall and Buncombe County Courthouse, which still shape the downtown skyline. Biltmore Estate was built by George Washington Vanderbilt II, creating the largest privately owned house in the United States. With 250 rooms spread across a French Renaissance chateau design, the construction required approximately 1,000 workers and 60 stonemasons. Unfortunately, he died unexpectedly in 1914, at age 51 from complications of an emergency appendectomy in Washington, D.C. Just 19 years after his dream mansion was completed, his spirit being frequently seen sitting in a chair reading by the fireplace in the massive 2-story library. Old, but more like a man's face carved into the cliff face by wind and weather, is where the Grandfather Mountain got its name. The mountain was formed when two continental tectonic plates collided to create the Appalachian Mountains, followed by over 300 million years of erosion that created everything we see today. Grandfather Mountain is part of the United Nations Southern Appalachian Biosphere Reserve for its extraordinary biodiversity and unique, high-elevation ecosystems that exist nowhere else in the southeast. Among the 200 documented bird species that call this mountain home, the dark-eyed junco represents one of the most successful residents. They can leap up to 12 inches in one hop while foraging, but switch to short bursts of running when chasing rivals or moving prey. Dark-eyed juncos forage about 4.5 hours a day in summer and 6 hours in winter to meet their energy demands, using the rest of the daylight to perching and socialising within their flocks. Hugh McRae Morton built the mile-high swinging bridge in 1952, creating the highest suspension bridge in America at 228 feet long. The bridge got its swinging reputation from its tendency to sway in the mountain's powerful winds, which can exceed 100 miles per hour during severe weather events. Black-throated blue warblers complete remarkable migrations from Caribbean, wintering grounds in Cuba, Jamaica, and Puerto Rico to North Carolina's forests each spring. They inhabit mature hardwood forests with dense shrub layers, especially where mountain laurel, rhododendron, and hobblebush create essential nesting cover. Mating behaviour is complex. Although socially monogamous, about 34% of nestlings come from extra-pair copulations with neighbouring males. During egg-laying, males practice intense mate guarding by following females closely to reduce access by rivals. New Bern was founded in 1710 by Baron Christoph von Graffenried, who named the settlement after his Swiss hometown of Bern. It became the first permanent capital of the colonial territory. Von Graffenried designed the original town layout in the form of a cross, with plans for a church at the centre, though later development obscured this design within the growing street grid. the settlement faced immediate peril when Tuscarora warriors launched a devastating surprise attack on September 22nd, 1711, slaughtering approximately 130 colonists along the rivers in response to tribal enslavement and unfair trading practices. Furthermore, this brutal conflict nearly destroyed the fledgling community during the 2-year Tuscarora War that followed. Within the historic streets of New Bern stands Tryon Palace, a reconstructed Georgian building that once served as the first permanent capital of the colony and the residence of British royal governors. Governor William Tryon initiated construction in 1766 as a display of imperial authority, insisting on a structure that ultimately cost taxpayers 3 times the original £5,000 budget. Today, visitors can explore the meticulously reconstructed palace that opened to the public in 1959, complete with period furnishings acquired from England and guided by John Hawke's original architectural plans discovered in London archives. Brunswick town emerged in 1726 as a strategic port settlement along the Cape Fear River, named after King George I's ancestral home of Brunswick-Lüneburg in Germany. Moreover, colonial planners positioned this town specifically to rival Charleston and Wilmington as the region's dominant maritime trade centre, establishing what would become one of the most prosperous pre-revolutionary settlements. The town flourished rapidly through the lucrative naval stores trade, particularly tar, pitch, and turpentine, extracted from longleaf pine forests that generated enormous wealth for merchants and ship captains. Furthermore, Brunswick Town's strategic location made it the primary export hub for these essential naval supplies that were desperately needed by the British Royal Navy. Wright Brothers National Memorial stands on the dunes of Kill Devil Hills. Wilbur and Orville Wright chose this remote location in 1900 after receiving weather data from the local station. They wanted steady winds and soft sand for safer crash landings during experiments. Between 1900 and 1902, the brothers completed more than 1,000 glider flights from the tall sandhills. These tests focused on wing designs and control systems that later transformed human flight. Local residents initially viewed the strange flying contraptions with deep suspicion, with some believing the Wright brothers were practicing witchcraft or summoning evil spirits through their mechanical devices. Cape Hatteras Lighthouse stands as the tallest brick lighthouse structure in the world, towering 198 feet above the treacherous Diamond Shoals, where over 5,000 vessels have met their doom in what mariners call the graveyard of the Atlantic. Moreover, this iconic beacon required over 1,250,000 bricks transported from kilns along Virginia's James River during its construction between 1868 and 1870. Raleigh. The capital city of this region emerged in 1792 as one of the first deliberately planned state capitals in the fledgling nation, conceived specifically to serve as the permanent seat of government rather than evolving naturally around commerce or ports. Moreover, the North Carolina General Assembly selected this central location in 1788 after recognizing the vulnerability of coastal New Bern, where British forces had previously threatened the colonial government during wartime. The capital derives its name from Sir Walter Raleigh, the English explorer who sponsored the ill-fated Roanoke colony, known as the Lost Colony, on Roanoke Island, though no previous settlement existed at the chosen site. The capital transformed dramatically after World War II with the establishment of Research Triangle Park in 1959, creating thousands of jobs in science and technology fields that attracted major corporations and research institutions. Yates Mill stands as the last surviving operational grist mill among approximately 70 water-powered mills that once served Wake County, operating continuously since 1756, when Samuel Pearson first constructed the structure on land granted by the Earl of Granville. Moreover, this remarkable mill contains one of only 3 surviving examples of Oliver Evans's revolutionary 1790 automated flour milling process, the 3rd federal patent ever issued in the newly formed nation. Yates Mill faced near destruction in 1996 when Hurricane Fran's torrential rains burst the 250-year-old stone dam, flooding the mill and threatening to wash away centuries of mechanical heritage. Green herons have adapted perfectly to freshwater environments across eastern, deciduous forests, thriving in wooded ponds, marshes, and slow-moving streams where overhanging vegetation provides essential cover for their secretive hunting strategies. These solitary hunters demonstrate remarkable behavioural flexibility, actively hunting during both daylight and nighttime hours, while remaining motionless for extended periods before striking prey with lightning-fast precision. Additionally, green herons exhibit one of nature's most sophisticated tool-use behaviours, deliberately dropping insects, feathers, or breadcrumbs onto water surfaces to lure curious fish within striking range. Breeding pairs form monogamous bonds during spring courtship, where males perform elaborate displays involving neck stretching, bill snapping, and territorial calling to attract females to prime nesting sites. Meanwhile, both parents collaborate in constructing platform nests of sticks positioned in dense shrubs or low trees overhanging water, with females laying 3 to 5 pale blue-green eggs that require 19 to 21 days of incubation. This is North Carolina, a land of hidden wonders and remarkable architectural marvels. Now, if you don't want to miss the most unreal wonders of Tennessee, check out this video.